Greetings, adventurers! This is Lorne, your guild advisor, and I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. This is some news that came from the live stream that happened on Christmas Eve, I believe. And I did put the news on the Discord itself, but I didn't really make a video about it because it is Christmas Eve, it was Christmas Day. And that time was really spent with my family, and also reading Volume 14 of DanMemo, which I got pretty much a week early because I got it from Right Stuff, and I did finish the book. It's very good, it's my favorite in the series, but let's go ahead and get started on the New Year event news that came with that live stream that happened on Christmas Eve. And first of all, I would like to thank Gale Riot 6212 from Discord for the skill translations featured in this video. And as you can already tell, these are the characters that will be coming in the new New Year's event called the Werewolf Comes. As you can see right here, we have Bet, Seer, Anya, Riveria, Daphne, Meik, and Cassandra, with Cassandra being the character that you can get to +5 for free from the event itself just by grinding it. And I very much appreciate that Meik is finally getting a 4-star unit. They've been pretty generous so far with the male gods getting 4-star characters. We got Take from the Christmas event, and now with New Year's we're getting Meik. But let's go ahead and break down the characters themselves. First off, we have Lone Werewolf Bet, and I love his art. He looks awesome, like the open kimono, so you can see his amazing muscles. And it almost feels like that Demon Slayer vibe going on with that katana. I know a lot of people are wanting a Demon Slayer collaboration event, but I think it's pretty unlikely because Show and Jump is pretty protective of its properties, but it'll be really cool to see. And this is just a really cool sneak peek of what it could be with Bet over here. I think having the best art, he just looks awesome. But anyway, he's a physical attacker, as you can tell by the stats, with that 1912 strength at max limit break, max hero ascension, and he does have quite a bit of agility at 1138 at max hero ascension as well. And as for his skills, his special art is an AoE ultra light physical attack, and it increases in damage by 35% for each strength buff skill on him, and it also has an ultra unguard rate, and it will also heal himself for 10% of the damage dealt. As for his combat skills, his first skill is an AoE low light physical attack that also increases his strength and light attack damage by 70% for 3 turns. And yeah, that's 70% modifier. That's quite a lot, because if you combine the strength and light overall, that's 140% buff, and that's just quite the change from our usual buffs that we're used to getting, like double 50s or double 60s. Bet over here is doing double 70s here. And then for his second skill is an AoE super light physical attack with a high penetration rate, and will also increase the buffs on him by 3 turns. So Bet will be able to just spam that AoE skill after he's done buffing himself up constantly, and just wrecking some havoc in AoE intensive fights like Familiar Rushes. And his third skill is a single target highlight physical attack that does 35% more damage for each strength buff skill on him, and also has a ultra critical rate. So Bet is pretty much a good all-around unit because he has great AoE attacks, a self-buffing skill, and also this hard-hitting single target attack. So very useful for both single target and AoE situations. And here for his passives, you can see that he will heal for 50% of the damage dealt from his counters, and he also has the Beast Killer skill. So we'll probably be seeing beast type enemies in a future Familiar Rush, and that'll be your incentive to pull during the New Year's banners. But of course, I'd pull for Bet anyway because he just looks amazing with this art. Like, how could you not want this werewolf samurai? And next up we have Sneaky Cat Anya. She will also be a physical attacker with almost 2000 strength at max limit break, max hero ascension. And her art, I do love the aesthetic here. Like, she's looking all like a ninja, and she has that huge ninja star. It kind of reminds me of, not Mega Greninja, but Ash Greninja from Pokemon, but I'm being nerdy right now. Anyway, as for her skills, her special arts is a single target ultra light physical attack that will increase in damage by 60% for each self-strength buff skill on her. So every strength buff that's on her, she'll deal 60% more damage, just like Bet, but his is a bit lower than that. And she will also increase her own strength and light attack damage by 90% for 3 turns. And moving on to her combat skills, the first one is a bit interesting because right here it's an ally, 30% HP regen, and a self, strength, and light attack damage buff of 60% for 4 turns. So she has the standard double buff attack, or double buff skill I should say, but it's not an attack. Rather than doing like a low attack, she actually gives your allies HP regen for 4 turns, so it will actually increase your survivability while also drastically increasing Anya's damage output, and this is definitely a move you want to be using first in a fight anyway, so she does more damage on her next turns and also give your allies more survivability, and you may not need to use healing skills all the time because of that as well. And for her second skill, it's a single target mid-light physical attack with a high unguard rate, and it will reduce physical resistance and light resistance by 30% for 4 turns, so very helpful for physical teams and especially light physical teams. And remember that Bet is a light physical unit, so using Anya and Bet together should yield some pretty good results, especially for single target, because Bet does have that single target skill. And as for Anya's third skill, is a single target high light physical attack with a high critical rate, and it'll remove strength and magic buffs, excluding assist skills, so a very useful skill to have when you're doing fights like Familiar Rushes, where bosses might buff themselves, or Record Buster, where Ravis might buff herself, or Riveria might buff herself. So a very useful unit to have in single target situations, and works very well with Bet for light physical single target. And also remember that Anna Kitty, the idle one, is also a light physical character as well. And as for passives, her counters do light damage, and she also has a 25% passive dark resistance, and of course she has the Beast Killer skill. And the next unit is Laurel Mistral Daphne. She'll be a balanced character, as you can tell by the kind of low strength she has there, 1475 at max hero ascension, max number break. And the thing with like all the art here for all the units, like I adore the art. Like all the kimonos look really good, the designs look really good, so a very beautiful unit here for Daphne. And as for her skills, her special art is an AoE Ultra Wind physical attack with a temporary strength boost and Ultra Unguard rate, and it will also reduce enemy magic resistance and physical resistance by 40% for 1 turn. But it's just for 1 turn, so keep that in mind. So if you are using this, you might want to use something to extend that, like Haruhime, who is able to extend your debuffs on enemies. And for her combat skills, Daphne's first skill is an AoE High Wind physical attack with an Ultra Uncounter rate. Not much there, it's pretty straightforward. Her second skill is a fast 20% HP heal to your allies, and will also debuff your enemy strength, agility, and physical resistance by 25%. And also, so many things happening with this skill, and will also give your allies a 20% HP regen for 3 turns. So it will give your allies an initial 20% HP heal, and it will also give them a 20% HP regen that will last for the next 3 turns, and also debuffs your opponent's strength, agility, and physical resistance. So a lot of things are happening with that skill, so she's a very utility-based unit, and she should be able to keep your units alive pretty well, especially if your enemies are physical attackers, because she is reducing the strength. Now her agility debuff would be more desirable if, even though it is a fast attack, which means it has a high likelihood of going first during game modes like war games, so it will decrease your opponent's agility, and your units are more likely to go first because their agility should be higher. But because her base agility isn't as high as other units that can debuff agility, like the new war game Mikoto, like the new Christmas Bell, if you're trying to use her for the purpose of debuffing agility, she's not as effective as those two characters because her base agility is not as high. And as for her last skill, it is a slow modified skill, so it usually goes last during the turn order, but it will increase your ally's strength and wind attack damage by 30%, and also remove any strength debuffs that are on your allies. So if you're expecting an encounter where you know the enemy will be debuffing your strength, this would be a useful move to have on hand. And as for our next character, it is Festive Royale Riveria, and she looks absolutely gorgeous in that kimono. She's probably having my favorite kimono design of all the characters here, because there's just a lot of detailing go into the art if you actually see the full picture for Riveria. But as you can see here, she has 1811 magic at max hero ascension, maximum break, and she does have a pretty high agility for a magic attacker at 1085. Her special arts is an AoE ultralight magic attack that will increase in damage by 30% for each magic buff skill honor. It also has an ultra unguard rate and a 40% chance to seal your enemies. And sealing is very effective because it makes your opponents not be able to use any actual skills drastically reducing their damage output, which would be very useful in war games. And as for her combat skills, her first skill is an AoE fast, low, light magic attack with an ultra uncounter rate, and it will increase your allies' magic, agility, and light attack damage by 25% for 3 turns. So definitely a good character to use in an AoE magic team like war games, because this is a fast attack and it will also increase your agility. So if you have a lot of magic characters that have fast moves, Riveria should be giving them quite a good boost and be able to give you the ability to dish out a big barrage of magic damage before your other opponent's characters can even move, because of the fast modifier and the agility modifier as well. And for her second skill, it's an AoE super light magic attack with a temporary magic boost and ultra unguard rate, and reduces agility by 40% for 2 turns. So after Riveria buffs your magic character's agility so they can go, she like guarantees that they will go first on the second turn because of that agility debuff of 40%, which is crazy. It's massive. And then on her third skill, it's a single target highlight magic attack that will increase in damage by 35% for each magic buff skill on her, and also has an ultra penetration rate. So again, she's another character like Bet that is all around good for AoE and single target situations. And as for her passives, her counters apply a minus 25% heal rate debuff to your opponent for 4 turns. So it will drastically decrease the healing effectiveness of your opponent in that case. And she also, again, has the Beast Killer ability, making her more effective for the upcoming Familiar Rush. And moving on to the assists on the Gotcha banners is the New Year Kimono Seer. Here she has some rather long hair, betraying how short it would seem when she has a ponytail. So it almost seems like a wig, because I don't really see Seer having hair this long based off her actual character design. So I'm wondering what exactly this event is about. Like maybe it's a play, who knows. Anyway, she has some rather balanced stats when it comes to both strength and magic. The one thing to look out for is that 575 agility, and as for her assist skill, at +5, it will increase the agility, dexterity, physical resistance, and magic resistance of the equipped adventurer by 10%. And will also reduce any status debuffs on your allies by 2 turns, which means that would only happen during a switch in, because you can't really apply a -2 debuff during the first turn because nothing's been debuffed yet. So if she is switched in, I believe, they'll take off 2 turns for any debuffs that might be on your characters that it might be interesting to experiment with in war games. But the main draw for Seer would be her high base agility at 575, and then combining that with a plus 10% agility buff, which should make a lot of your characters go first in war games, though there are some other assists that are slightly faster, like Outside Aurario Eyes, because of that 20% agility buff on her. But again, Seer is still a good character when it comes to agility, and she may be on your radar. And of course, she looks gorgeous in that kimono. And here we have Meik posing like he's posing for like Kimono Men or something. Like he doesn't even have to try. Like he doesn't realize how beautiful of a man he is. Anyway, he gives anyway he gives a rather high magic stat of 626 at max limit break, and it's just weird how we have Meik on the banner, but his one adventurer in the Familia, Naza, is not with him. Though there may be some other reason for why he's in this event, and I won't say why. Volume 8. Anyway, his assist skill +5 will give your allies a plus 15% buff, and will also decrease your opponent's critical rate and penetration rate by 25%. So he's a decent magic assist if you don't already have one, like the Wedding Wish Hestia, which is a better magic assist in my opinion, because she gives 20% magic and critical rate, but Meik is not that bad overall, because it is still a high magic stat, and he will also decrease your opponent's critical rate and penetration rate. And last but not least is First Dream Cassandra. She is the free unit that you can just get by farming the event itself, and as you can see here, her magic stat is 1547 at maximum break, max hero ascension. Not quite as high as other characters, though she is a healing type character in the first place, so her magic stat usually isn't high anyway. And for his special arts is an AoE Ultra Wind magic attack with a temporary magic boost and a 40% chance to sleep. Now that sleep might be interesting to try in war games, but because she is a character that's like one of the free units, her other base stats usually aren't as high, like for example that magic stat, so usually you're better off using an actual damaging move from a magic attacker in that case. And for her combat skills, her first skill is an AoE mid-wind magic attack with an ultra encounter rate, and it will also reduce critical rate and penetration rate by 20% for 4 turns. Her second skill is an AoE high wind magic attack with an ultra unguard rate. It will also increase her own magic and wind attack damage by 30% for 4 turns. And for her last skill, it's a 20% HP regen to your allies for 4 turns, and a 20% chance to sleep your enemies. Now, she is a free character, so these skills aren't like too great because 30% double buff isn't too amazing. The 20% HP regen is kind of nice, but the 20% chance to sleep is really, really low for what you're trying to get out of that. So she's probably not going to be too useful in war games itself, but she is a nice character to have just based on the art alone. Cassandra looks lovely, and she would be good for any new coming players as well, because it's hard to get +5 characters when you're just starting out in the game. Now, after all those character overviews, let's get into the rest of the news. This is the Stroke of Midnight bonus that we'll be getting starting tomorrow on the 27th of December. You may not see this active until the 28th, because the way these login bonuses work is that you would only see this login bonus if you didn't actually log into the game until about 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I know most of you guys are probably logging in before that to get your War Game passes in, to get your stamina, making sure that's not capped, because it feels like you're wasting stamina if it's at the cap. So most of you probably won't see this bonus until the 28th, but this is a nice thing to look at, especially that 5th day of 400 Iris. And this is the login bonus for the event itself. It will go live on the 31st. Most of you probably won't see it active until actual New Year's Day. And these are the New Year event paid bundles that will go live on the 30th with the event itself. Here's the Werewolf Special Bundle, the Werewolf Mini Bundle. As you can see, there's 4-star 11 draw tickets in here. We don't have the exact specifics on what they are, but more than likely they are 4-star tickets for the actual New Year's characters. And of course, these will cost paid Iris. And here are the 2020 Riveria loot bags that will go live on the 31st. These will probably also cost paid Iris. As you can see, the contents, there's the Prison Bond for an Adventure, Prison Bond for an Assist, 4-star 11 draw tickets, and these are of course from the Mega loot bag. And there's also a mini loot bag that just has a regular 4-star guaranteed 11 draw ticket. And already live are these Argonaut Part 2 rerun gotcha banners. Unfortunately, we didn't get a rerun for the event, which would be nice for like just materials and Iris. Unfortunately, it's just the banners that are getting rerun, but it's a second opportunity for people that may have missed out on the event or didn't get the bonds they wanted. And then this right here is very interesting. It's the New Year's Greetings Gotcha 2020 banners. They cost paid Iris only, and these go live on the 31st. And basically, these are banners that have limited characters, time limited characters, like the Hesse you can see from last year's Christmas event. And there you can see the Belle Mikoto from a previous New Year's event, and then that Eyes from a previous Halloween event, and then Lily from that same Christmas event Hestia was in. And these are all paid Iris, so you have a chance to get these characters if you missed out on them, but do keep in mind they cost paid Iris. And there's another banner as well, Part 2, that has Valentine Eyes, Christmas Ryu from 2017, and you see Aina over there from Halloween, Lafita from Halloween, and then Lily from one of the past summer events. So a lot of opportunity to get time-limited characters you may have missed out on, but again, these all cost paid Iris. And then over here, we're finally getting a heroic trial for these characters that came out over a year ago. So if you have been holding on and hoping that we would be getting heroic trial for these characters, now is your chance to get a bond for them. So be excited for that. That will go live on the 31st as well. And here, War Games already live, so make sure you're keeping up with your War Game passes. And then the next Record Buster that will go live next week on the 1st, New Year's Day, will be a Record Buster Dark Riveria. And this is just an overview of the upcoming schedule. Remember, this is in Japan Standard Time, so subtract 1 day from these dates. if you're in the United States. The rerun Argonite Gachas already happening. They went live yesterday, and as well as War Games. On the 27th is the start of the Stroke of Midnight login bonus, and on the 30th is the start of the New Year's event, which is actually on a Monday for us in the United States, so a bit different from the Wednesday stuff, but they try to line it with the Japanese schedule, and Japan will be having New Year's Eve during that Monday night, so it makes more sense to launch that event then. And of course, that's when the bundles go live for the New Year's event, as well as that Heroic Trial Oracle of Heaven. And then on the 31st is the start of the Werewolf Comes login bonus. It's also when the Riveria loot bag stuff goes live, as well as the paid Iris New Year's Greetings Gacha goes live, so you can get those time limited characters you might have missed out on. And then that Iris combo with another item it just means the shop is resetting. You'll be able to buy those Iris and Hero Light bundles again. And then on the first New Year's Day is the launch of Dark Riveria Record Buster. So a lot of stuff happening for New Year's itself. We still have no news of the collaboration event, and it feels like beating a dead horse every time we get a new news update. It's like, is this going to be the collab? Is this the collab? But it's going to happen at some point. It just feels like they should have announced it so soon, because we're just anticipating it so much. But I really do hope they announce it soon, and that's why I'm trying to be very cautious on going all out on the Iris spending, because they're just going to hit us with something very desirable in the gut at some point during the collab when it's inconvenient for us. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you all had a great Christmas with your family and friends. I hope you're looking forward to the new year. I remember I did finish reading volume 14 earlier, so those of you that watch my light novel stuff, I think I'll be doing 2 separate videos. One of those will be an actual review of the book with no spoilers, because I'm getting it so early, and because it's so long. It's the longest book in DanMachi so far. It's over 420 pages. So I'm going to split my review and spoiler talk, because the spoiler talk is probably going to be super long, because it is a novel that I was very much looking forward to, and it does a lot of things I've always wanted to see, and I'm extremely happy with it. It's my favorite volume in DanMachi so far. The books are just getting better and better. If you're not reading light novels, what are you doing? Pick them up right now with your Christmas money, because oh my lord, the light novels are they're amazing. It's the source material. You're missing out if you're not reading the DanMachi light novels. I'll stop the plug for Mori Sensei. Anyway, guys, hope you're looking forward to New Year's and all the events happening. But anyway, and as always, if you want to see more DanMachi content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, and join my Discord. And as always, continue enjoying your time adventuring in Mario and the dungeon. This is Lauren, your guild advisor, signing out.